Ladies and gentlemen, we are in another great position on this beautiful April day, simply because we have one, the great Joe Yankus return to the Productive Conversations podcast.
Hey.
And he's brought a great friend of his, an up-and-coming rapper, and I'm starting to get into his music, and he is one talented individual that we will get to know a bit more. Without further ado, along with Joe Yankus, we have up-and-coming rapper Auda Mars in the building today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. What's going on, Matt? What's going on, world?
I am fantastic. The Productive Conversations podcast audience is so excited to have you here. And again, have our buddy Joe Yankus join us once again. So before we get started, tell me, my new friend, yes, and my old friend, tell me how we're doing and how has 2021 been to start off this year?
I'm doing great. I think we're both doing great, but
yeah, absolutely. And I just turned 39.
All right, happy birthday. Bless up for that.
No, but just we have a lot of great projects going on, and me and Jenkins are actually putting I would say secret projects together. It's going to be a TBD, but there's a lot of great creative collabs that we're bringing to the table for you guys, which is going to be a productive conversation tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. Any way we could promote the brands, I appreciate that. So
absolutely.
Why don't we start? We're going to learn more about Auda, and yes, we're going to talk about his rise up into the rap and hip hop community. Yes. Going to catch up with Yankus. But first things first, guys, tell me how you two met. What brings us here today, and where did this partnership form, and how is it at this point?
So it's funny because I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and they've been a great resource ever since I graduated from there and finished that program. But originally Marz was working with he had started a kind of a group out of there and was affiliated with the director over at CSB. So I remember I had his name's Joe too, and I had some conversation with Joe, and he mentioned there was somebody who's putting together an album, all this other stuff. I remember, you from the last episode, I mentioned my buddy Dean, who because we were talking, we were going to discuss, working on stuff like that. There was a whole discussion. The long story short, we basically got introduced via somebody in our professional network because we're both amazing musicians and entertainers.
Yeah, and just on the grind, and it was a great connection, like from day one, and just building on music. He respected what I did, I respected what he did, and I was just like, what, at the time we were putting together Auda Media, and I absolutely wanted Joe to be a part of it, and just work hand in hand. And what we decided, like, that didn't work out, but we just kept kind of in touch, and kept bouncing ideas off each other, and to be able to just put other things in fruition. So
well, because that's an interesting thing too. It's like we basically there was a few things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
But regardless of all of that, basically whoever was affiliated with Joe prior to that, essentially he went his own way, and then basically everyone kind of split their own way, except me and Marz were like, why don't we continue to work together? Because like we don't need it actually became easier because then we don't have an intermediary, we don't have somebody else, we don't have someone else who who we rely on for production or legal or whatever. So now, I mean, and I remember I mentioned the last podcast, last time I had him over here, he like heard 8 bars at the outro of a song, and now we're working on a completely different instrumental based on that. So it's like it's those kind of it's sometimes
that kind of energy,
the mistakes and the failures that actually bring opportunities for greater successes, like that being a clear example.
It really shows in this life how things are meant to be and what brings us together, and not letting a shortcoming bring you down. you generally stay in touch with that. And as two artists who clearly at this point proving that, yeah, maybe our first project didn't go where we wanted, but now we're getting stronger from it and better than ever. What would you say to partnerships in particular? What do you think makes you guys stick and not split away, and being patient with what you're trying to go for?
Because for the fact that I feel that we kind of have the same goal, and that's to create great music. That's to be able to educate people and entertain people. And I felt that we had the same energy and connection. And it was kind of like became more like a personal friendship to like a brotherhood, for the simple fact that, going through, ups and downs and trials and tribulations, we still maintain our goal.
Definitely. And what do you think is going to be the special thing keeping that goal in mind? What do you think is the special thing that will not bring you guys down together? What is the thing that'll keep you moving? Is it just that genuine, strong connection? Absolutely. Is it just that natural feeling?
It's just a natural feeling. It's just for the simple fact that it's organic. It's not fake. And we both kind of just sat down. It was kind of like where you playing football early in like Pop Warner, and you find out that the other person is just as talented as you. And it's like, even though you guys do like things different, you found a way to connect with each other to do the same thing, So it was kind of like what I would like to say a A1 day one.
Yeah.
Like since the first day, it was just like, nah, man, I fuck with him. He's different. He's cool. I like his energy. He came to one of my performances with my wife and my in-laws. He fucking got on the mic like it wasn't nothing. It just started going bananas. And I was like, damn.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Up, man. It ended up being a great show. And, just little moments like that, and it wasn't like, it was A1 day one, but it wasn't overnight. Like, we constantly talked here and there, just talked about life, talked about music, talked about what we wanted to do. And sometimes that's the best way to build upon something. It's not fake,
Yeah, I definitely appreciate that. And the reason why I asked that is I admire people who are ambitious, or at least try to claim to be. And we know many examples, including my own, of people and teams and partnerships coming together, saying that they are going to be the ones to make it, quote unquote, make it. They are the ones who are going to pushing boundaries. And they are the people who are going to be successful in their passion and business. But we see whether one person isn't as into it as the other. We see people just decide different plans and goals. And I really admire you saying that too, that sometimes it's just that it factor. Some things you just simply can't explain in this world. And I can tell the vibe right here. Like, you know what I'm getting at from that?
No, absolutely. Like, you ever watched like a music documentary
all the time?
About the certain artists, and you always find that the musician, how they claim the fame, like the story's interesting, or it was put together interesting, and most of the things are organic and by chance, or it wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened, so they say like everything does in retrospect happen for a reason,
right?
It was meant. It was just like, maybe in a year or two, you might be just watching us on a documentary one day, you'd be like, oh shit, I interviewed them.
And that's, trust me, I will not take that for granted. And I hope that this is one of many collaborations as well. Absolutely. Any way for me to help you, any way you to help me, I would love that.
Yeah, we return the favor, and that's how you spread the love, and that's how you spread the opportunity in our region as well.
I love it, man. I love it. Why don't we hit on that really quick about returning favors and passing it on, beyond whether it's in music or obviously in life and helping people out. When it comes to you guys, what do you think is important for you to earn that type of respect that you can help each other out? What is it in your mind a person has to do to prove that they're worthy for that?
I mean, something that immediately comes to mind for me, and it's a quote I think about a lot. And it's basically your character it comes down to how you treat those who can do nothing for you. So it is, as far as doing something and expecting something in return, like that it sounds like business, like, and even in friendship, like, you know, you there is still that like I can give more to a friend than I get, and sometimes that may happen, but there's still a reciprocity. But really, character comes down to how you treat a person or a situation when you fully expect to get nothing in return. And that's kind of how you really need to approach things, or I like to approach things. And I also, I don't like setting expectations anymore. Actually, I prefer to expect nothing and be surprised rather than set a high expectation and be disappointed. And that's different than working hard to make something well or hit a good goal. But it to me, like, I don't want to expect the best and then set myself up for disappointment.
Makes a lot of sense.
Sometimes I just know. It's just a knack, you know, it's just an energy. You can tell in 2.2 sometime on, you know, who I work with, how it's going to be deciphered out. It's not really a calculus, you know, dilemma, which I have to solve. You know, it's just, it is what it is. And I just know what I bring to the table, you know, because at the end of the day, like, I worked hard. I put a lot of countless hours. I put that quote unquote 10,000 hours plus more into, you know, what I do because I love it. And at the time, you know, it brought me through a lot of situations where I was stressed out, where I felt like I couldn't go on, where I wanted to throw all my music out the window. But it's just like, I just know that I was born to do this. And for the simple fact that growing up, I didn't want to do it. And how I fell into it was actually with a teacher one day in poetry class. And she was just like, her name was Donna Edwards. And she was like, Jamar, I wrote a poem for her. And it was actually called the Fuck You poem. Crazy because it was, no, seriously, it was
tell me about that.
It was so honest. It was just like everything was either starting off or ending with fuck you, and it was just everything like descriptively and rhymed in retrospect. And she was just like, I'm actually really impressed, and I think you would be a great hip-hop artist. So that made me want to go home and start like kind of turning how I write, you know, with poems into, you know, like music and art and raps. And you know, I kind of just fell in love with it. It was just kind of like a click. So it was just kind of like, you know what? I know I was supposed to do this because until I was about 16, 17 years old, I didn't want to do it. It wasn't on my mind. I wanted to do computer science or be a journalist. So.
And it was really from that special teacher who led you to, once and for all, this is what I'm meant for. I'm pushing for this, no matter how long it takes, no matter what it takes, no matter how much I have to put into it. This is what I want to do. And how has that journey been as a whole for that since that special day?
First thing first, absolutely, because she could have kicked me out of her fucking class, and she did. You know, she actually praised it, and the journey has been a beautiful journey for the simple fact that it's made me a better person. That has made me a more respectful person, how I present myself. And like Joe said, I don't really expect shit from anyone. This is what I do. This is what I love, and I'm very passionate about it. It's either I'm gonna fuck with you, I'm not gonna fuck with you, excuse my language, but not excuse my language. But it's just like, I just know that I just love to do music. So if you love to do music just as much as me, then we're probably gonna bond out on something, because this is my art, my passion. This is what I sit down, and when everybody was partying and shit, don't get me wrong, I went to the club too, but I sat and I wrote, I got better. You know, it was just like, you know how like Kobe wanted to get better. You know, at everything he did.
And so, it's having that chip on your shoulder too, like, and doing that with not holding a grudge, because grudges can motivate us, but they can also put us into some pretty dark places if we're
very destructive as well.
Yeah, if we let that negative emotion take us over. But it's just always proven that I have it. I have the talent to do that. And it is tough. It's not easy to get through to the industry, but truly, if there is a will, there's a way. I mean, we can name, you know, I don't want to call them joke rappers like the Akashi 6ix9ines or the, you know, the Little Dickies or Riff Raps, but they have their special.
Little Dickies actually okay.
Yeah. Some people might consider them a jokes, but their music's still important to them. That's their music. That's their brand. It's just more, if you're going through, like, I name more, well, those two, like Riff Raff and Little Dicky, are more comedic rappers, and Tekashi 6ix9ine, you know, love him or hate him. he still has his own brand that he still is defending and going for it. And
Very
even if you don't
polarizing.
like the guy, you have to you do have to admire what he's pushing through for that. And how would you explain like your brand, Auda? How would you explain your brand and creating that while going through, your journey to get to the top?
I think my brand is being able to fall on your face in front of everybody and get back up and still be able to build and to be able to laugh, to be able to cry, to be able to fumble, to be able to go through the ups and downs that people go through every day that they're afraid to show, and that's my brand, because people have seen me go through all these things and still be like, damn, he came back and he's going harder. He's putting it together. He's not giving up. And, I think that's the true essence of building a brand, because people want to be attracted to realness. And at the end of the day, it's nothing more realer than to be able to be personable, at your most personable with the world, and not afraid to show that, you can fall and get back up. And so it's like it's a brand of authenticity, I would say.
I really admire that, Marz, really.
Appreciate
and
that.
I know where you're coming from, especially like with this podcast I have done, 6 months in, and I really wanted to prove that I'm not just another person getting a podcast. They have that stereotype. Everyone has a podcast. Like, no, I'm good at this. I can genuinely create connections with people. And most importantly, give something for the audience as an ultimate distraction, as an escape. It's something they can learn. The productive conversations, it's an easy thing to brand, but I really take that to heart, because I really believe as long as even if you're talking about the craziest topics, that if you're at least genuine with someone and they're genuine back, that there's something to get out for both me and the guest and the audience. And I'm sure that's what you have with your music. You genuinely have this passion to create stories, to create also distractions with your music, positive distractions, and it creates your brand to show who you are. I'm sure you can add on to that.
No, absolutely. It's kind of like it's no act behind it. It's kind of like a tell it like it is.
Yeah.
And my brand and like my songs is kind of like, I want to kind of tell you different things about my life, the things that I see. Like I have a song in particular where I wrote about how my mom, she found out she was pregnant. She was about 4 months pregnant with me, and she had the opportunity to get an abortion. But instead of getting an abortion, she kept me. And she always tells me to this day that, you were my one of my most greatest gifts. And I'm glad that I didn't give up on you. And, I put that into a song, and it was cool to be able to, perform that back to my mom. And it was also like a dedication per se, so, it's a lot of situations I've relatively put into my music, because I think that's one of the best ways to, make music.
Well, and we're glad you're here joining us today, for both me and the audience, for that.
Yes. The productive conversations. Productive conversations. Yes.
Say it loud and proud, Marz.
Productive conversations.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I hope you know
we have Auda Mars here for the Productive Conversations podcast.
Look at
productive conversations.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you. Marz, one thing I want to talk about is the connection between poetry and your music, as you mentioned.
Yes.
As we see, your artistry has evolved out of poetry, as well as, has created your music. Could you walk me through more of that? Can you talk to me about the aspects of poetry that helped you become a better rapper?
It actually, from poetry, had me create my own bar structure. Because you usually have the 16 bars, per se, and you can break it down into eighths, fourths, and twos. But really, I kind of threw all of that out the window. And like how I wrote poetry, it was kind of like 2-line, 2-line, 3-line, 1-line, or a 5-7-5, like a haiku syllables, and just kind of building off of that. So it kind of had me make my own style and not really kind of settle for the simplistic, 16 bar structure. So I would have to say that was the biggest thing, which poetry, I kind of combined the poetry and the artistry together. So
can you talk to me also about the storytelling aspect from your music? You mentioned some examples of what you have created from your past life to create your music. Can you also go with me a little more depth and how, like, when you're developing a song, is it story first? Is it the music first? Is it the lyrics first? Where do you go when it comes to your expression and creating your music in terms of storytelling?
Themes first. I would say out of all of them. Okay, I'll tell you this analogy. The name of my first official album next year will be called The Auda Mars. And the reason why and the reason why it's called The Auda Mars is for the simple fact of the term backstabber. 44 BC, where Julius Caesar was assassinated in the middle of Rome by his right-hand man, Brutus, Marcus Antonius E2 Brute, and Marcus Antonius Cassius, excuse me, and that happens to be March 15th, 44 BC, which is my birthday. And as me experiencing so much ups and downs and turmoils, and find out who is who, and find out, you know, people that you think that's your brothers and your sisters are the one for you, you know, do some real slimy shit. So that's kind of, you know, like adding everything in the retrospect to make the Auda Mars. So I would say that's probably one of my best examples to really describe that, because it fits every emotion on what is Auda Mars. And on top of that is my birthday. So, you know, it gives some history behind it.
Yeah, that is, I think, more than a coincidence, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, see, that's a productive conversation.
Nothing but, man. Yeah. Oh, man, I am enjoying this already. Thank you for that. So, as we say, genuinely my pleasure. So thanks to poetry, figuring out who you are. Yes. We have created the themes when it comes to storytelling. Now, can you talk to me about the production of your music itself and how you and Joe come together to create a song and how you create your albums coming up? Can you talk to me about the production aspect of your music?
I would say I would call it the lightning bolt, because when we're over here, he played about 3 beats for me within like 7 minutes. The energy was already there, and I was kind of ready all over it. And the production is kind of like he's telling me his idea on where he wants to go. So off his idea, I'm gonna take his idea, implement it to what I'm trying to do, and we're gonna meet at the median point. You know, like we damn, I don't want to even talk about. I don't want to talk about a song that we're gonna shoot out in, you know, Beantown. But it's gonna be a lot of cool, creative like themes behind it, like things to make you laugh, things to make you think, you know, and turn them into visuals that you can be able to watch and create little mini movies off of them. So, you know, like our production is relatively easy, because it creates from that easy production, it creates more and more ideas. So he's the wizard.
It's interesting too, because there's different approaches to production too, because as far as, you know, it's always gone with me. I've never really I've never had anybody produce any instrumentals for me. I've never had anybody, you know, as far as my production style, I was always, you know, writing, recording, producing, editing, everything. So with him, it's a theme, but with me, it's a theme as well, but it's a sound. Because there would be times where I would be like, oh, I think I should some of the better stuff comes from randomly just having a feeling that I should go sit down in the studio and try to like compose a beat rather than like blocking off in the schedule, like tomorrow at 5 p.m. I'm going into the studio for 2 hours. I remember there being times where like I would walk in and it would be daylight and I would look outside and then the sun had set and now I have a fully formed instrumental that has, you know, 5-7 parts all from scratch. And that's an interesting part of production too, because a lot of times I have songs that literally were just like sounds that built themselves, and then you have and then an entire, you don't even have an idea for what it would be about, but it builds off of that. Other times you can have lyrics already written, and then a sound comes from that. You don't even know what the song would sound like yet. So production is a very interesting animal, because you can get there so many different ways. And for example, like one that he showed me, I didn't even realize until he sent me it, that part of it, the part he picked out sounded like another instrumental that was already out there. And I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't even hear it. Yeah. And even from there, I had to like speed it up a little bit. And I'm like, and that's the wild thing. It was like bringing somebody else in on production. It gives you, it lets you hear beneath what you're capable of. Yeah, that's it seems like it's really cool. And it seems to also have a lot of patience with that. And my other question, adding on to that, I'd like to ask you, with all those different layers and all that work going in, on the days, for whatever reason, some challenges are brought up or things don't work, how do you guys work through that in such a important process? Though smooth and fun, it still is a lot of work. When you have those challenges, for whatever those challenges are, whether it's technical or something doesn't seem right, how do you guys work together to overcome that?
I would say we keep on working. We're used to the bumps and bruises, and that's just like the trial and error of things, you know. Mm-hmm. It doesn't supposed to slow you down. Plus, like, we both love it, so we're always going to figure out a way around it.
Well, what's also interesting too is sometimes it's almost as important what you leave out as what you put in. Yeah. Because some things can get overproduced. They can get overproduced. They can get muddled. And like I was saying, like exactly, like it's the things that are left out that can make something. It like with art, with physical art, sometimes it's the negative space where the art is taking place.
It's the timing as well.
Yeah.
Oh yes, and you always push it through it because you know there's something beautiful and magical out there that you just need the right person to hear, and it also just creates opportunities. And when do you two feel you're most comfortable when a song is done? When you're finally done going through the trials and errors, you finally have a finished project or a finished product. When do you know that a song is done and ready to go out to the masses?
It's interesting because you only know when you know. It's only done when it's done, and it's not the same. It's literally different for every song, and you could probably attest to that, working with multiple producers, working alone. Absolutely. It's not like, well, once you check box 1, 2, and 3, and then once you do that every time, it's you have a finished product. It's really like it will be played, like a lot of times too. Truthfully, it has to go get mixed, it has to go get mastered. But like, as far as when the song is done and ready, it's just like, oh, there it is.
You got that feeling. It's just, you know. Yeah, it's a certain feeling. It's like if you want to go try like a hamburger that you like from somewhere like Jake's way back, and you'd be like, oh wow, this fucking burger is great. It's like, well, you know, and it's that certain feeling of comfortability, and you just like bobbing your head, you're listening to the finished product, and you're like, you know what, this can go. So
look at that.
Simple as that.
All right. So my last question regarding the production of work that you guys put in, how much does your environment affect or influence the way you produce your music, the way you write your music, the way you pull through? So you guys are from the Hartford area, correct?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. How does the Hartford area influence your guys for music?
What would you say?
I mean, having been involved in a lot of different aspects of the hip hop industry over the years, especially with my other buddy Terrace, who's doing the Trinity Hip Hop Festival this weekend. Unfortunately, by the time this podcast goes out, it will have already passed. But you can still go. You can still find that up online. Just Google Trinity Hip Hop Festival. Mm-hmm. But it's funny because Hartford is very underrated and under-recognized for hip-hop, especially having a lot of people who have gotten their starts here in one way or another, or came through here or from here. I don't know if it's true or not, but I've heard that basically 937, when T-Pain was first starting out, 937 in Hartford was one of the first stations that was like, oh yeah, we'll play your stuff. Like, and it's things like that. But I think a lot of people can get their start here, but some of them don't really want to represent Connecticut and Hartford afterwards.
Yeah.
And that can be frustrating. That's just my personal experience. But I feel like, especially hip hop in Hartford, we're right in between Boston and New York. And it just seems like that sucks everything in the polar opposites and kind of leaves like but it's good because it also leaves a vacuum for real for real opportunity in the area as well.
Yeah.
I feel as an artist, Hartford growing up has made me a different animal, to experience a little bit of everything, where I could be in the grimiest of streets, or I could be in the chillest of suburbs, and to be able to cool out with everybody and find out that everybody in the same demographic has the same liking, and it doesn't matter, and it may be well-rounded. And I would say this. 3 years ago, I performed in New York. It was for the Masters of Machines competition. And it's a rapper named Nas, who's, a legend in the game.
The Nas. Nasir Smith.
yes. And the thing is, the person who discovered him was named the Large Professor, and he's a world-renowned producer. And I got to perform for him.
All right.
Like, it was crazy because I opened up. I got moved from third to first. I opened up. I didn't get shown no love. Nobody clapped for me. It was at the Mockingbird West Village. Shout out to Mockingbird as well. What I did was took that and I gave them actually 12 minutes of a fucking nightmare on the stage. And I totally annihilated the stage. And even the fact that my chord came out, and the chord came out after one of the hosts needed the mic to tell people to stop smoking in the venue. Stepped on my chord. I kept rapping, put my chord back in.
Good.
On point with the DJ, and the fucking crowd went crazy. And the first thing that the Large Professor asked me was, you know what? Where are you from? I said, I'm from Connecticut. He said, you're from Connecticut? I said, yeah, what the fuck? I'm from Connecticut, dude. And he was like, yo, you're fucking amazing. And it doesn't matter where you're from. You're going to put in that work. You're going to put in that work. That's why I wear everything that has something to do with Hartford when I get a chance to. I wear a lot of Hartford Whalers Ensemble because I grew up on that. And when I'm in a different place, I represent Hartford no matter what. So I feel like I love what the city made me. I love what the area made me. So I'm always going to represent it.
R.I.P. Whalers.
Yes,
absolutely.
I am the Weller King. I am absolutely the Weller King. I have more Whalers Ensemble than damn near everybody out here.
Yeah, the first time I saw you, Joe sent me a video of you rocking a Whalers jersey at the it's a graffitied park by the baseball field.
I haven't. Yeah, I haven't.
Awesome.
Yeah.
First of all, that's really great. You're really a talented person, Marz.
No, thank you.
I'm so excited to see where you're going, and that you're not afraid to perform in front of these big acts to show that you have potential, man. You have my support, and we're gonna be following you.
No,
and
absolutely.
I really
Likewise.
Oh, that really means a lot to me too. Thank you. And speaking of, who started? Well, technically, it was the gig before New York City was man. What easier if I show this way with Howard Stern. The biggest influences I keep around. As you see, I just keep everything that inspires me around me in the studio space.
Definitely grew up on Howard Stern.
Oh yes, man. We could do that.
11 o'clock on E.
Before everything else, before Jackass, before the Eric Andre show, before it was Howard Z show was intense. Like fucking around with like Elliot Gould and bringing the whack packers, Jenna Jameson. Beetlejuice. Yes, like. What's 2 plus 2? 11. But yeah, Howard Stern is the very first person I heard doing this. And when I heard it, I was like, man, I could do that too. It took 11 years in between first time being a Howard fan till now. And that's why I keep him around on all the sides of my wall. But he started in Hartford. I believe actually he went from Detroit to DC, then Hartford, and then New York when he finally went syndicated mainstream. But it shows that Hartford is a place that had, not take away its slogan. Hartford has it, but I also think it's important that we need to show that more. Like, it's weird being from Connecticut too. I'm down in Fairfield County,
Cool.
and then you say, yeah, out in Norwalk
County.
Yeah, Norwalk, Connecticut, 203, baby.
Okay, the Bears.
Yes, man.
Yeah,
I see you. You know I mess with you. You're rocking the Bad News Bears jersey. I think that is it. Is it?
Yes, that is absolutely the Bad News Bears jersey. Chico Bell's Bonds, you know. Definitely gotta keep it classic, man.
Chico Bell's Bonds.
Yeah.
Oh man, the greatest fake strip club movie history. Well, next to Bada Bing, next to Bada Bing,
Players Club.
Yeah, Players Club 2, Provo Power, and then Bada Bing from Sopranos. Next to that, so it's obviously a big company. But tying all this into that, I do think it's important to now show off that Hartford has these, in the Hartford area, still has as much talented as the people from New York and Boston.
Connecticut as a whole. Connecticut as a whole. I feel that a lot of people try to go to different metropolis areas and try to, you know, fit in with all the oversaturated people where there's enough social media, it's enough, you know, couture brand to really make your own wave out here. I mean,
yeah,
I love Connecticut.
I really do. I have a lot of pride for this state. Absolutely. And, you know, when I mention it, I hate when certain people, you know, roll their eyes and stuff like that. Like, no, we're just, you know, we're the Constitution state, number 3. We have a place, and people underestimate us as Connecticut people. And it's time to show that we are from a great place, and there's more talented people you need to showcase. And that's where this show is born, in the Productive Conversations podcast. And we're still talking with people from all over. And we really need, as you said, Marz, we really need to emphasize that they're talented people here. I've talked to stand-up comedians from here, obviously musicians as yourself.
Thank you.
And actors as well.
Podcasters, Productive Conversations as yourself.
You know it.
You got a great classic, you know, producer here. Like, I think Joe's a genius, you know, and like he makes me fucking laugh all the time. I'm like, dude, you're like fucking Aerosmith all wrapped into one. You know?
But you're absolutely right, man. And it's time to show that pride, and we can help start that movement. I genuinely believe that.
Absolutely. We're a part of it. We're starting it already.
Mm-hmm. You know it, man. I love the ride. The only other person who really represents Connecticut for Connecticut is my man, Chris Russo, Mad Dog. You know, he's from New Canaan. He talks about all the time in his show.
The Rams.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mad Dog. Yeah, you see, I love every aspect of CT, man, from the Berkshires down to the shorelines, down to the grimy parts, just everything for what it represents, man.
Let's represent it, man.
Yeah.
Really. I love it. I love it. So we talk about your origins. We talk about your craft. Can we also talk about, you hit on it a little bit before, just before, but the actual performing. Walk to me through about the opportunities you guys have had performing for audiences, and tell me that feeling and what it's like to get on stage and perform as you keep rising up the ranks. Talk to me about your performing style. Are you like a Freddie Mercury, just captivates a crowd? Are you more of a Travis Scott and you wallow out on stage? Or are you more of a calm, composing rapper? Like, I don't know, off the top of my head, like
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z's
really calm, really
calm, walking around the stage. But most importantly, what is Auda Mars, Joe Yankus's performing style?
You want to answer that first, Yankus?
Oh man, I mean, it's because with my style, I'm because you were talking about like the rappers that like fuck around, and I love punchline rap, like, and there are rappers
like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole type.
Well, but more like 21, like 21 Savage, okay. Or even Eminem does it, Logic does it, but definitely the guys like what's it called? Riff Raff is just, he's a whole nother, like,
it's really built different.
He's a whole nother basket, but or more like a basket case. But but who was it? Lil Dicky, same thing. But I enjoy, I literally, I want to listen to rap that I'm laughing as I'm listening to it, not because it's bad or I'm laughing at it, but because they're basically telling jokes over and over.
I love that.
Because what the one that made me burst out laughing was 21 Savage. He was like, body slam a bitch like Randy, and because Randy Savage, 21 Savage, punchline, body slam a bitch like Randy, and it's just like I laughed. I literally heard it in the car and laughed.
No, because it's funny. Oh, man.
But that's like, so I want to, and like even when I freestyle, I want to like be dropping punch. I can write serious stuff, and I do, like, there is time for meaning and soul, but like with me, I just I want it to be like half stand-up comedy, half hip-hop R&B.
That was a good 21 Savage imitation as well, man. That kind of cracked it up. Wow. Auda Mars, energy. I have a lot of energy. If you was to probably see me perform, you'll probably be like, what is wrong with him? But I don't care, because I love it. I love being in the moment. I'm also an indie film actor. I also do stage. So
all right.
Like that, yeah. So it's just something I relish off of. I would say it's crazy that you said Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, because a lot of people be like, yo, you remind me of Kendrick Lamar. And I'd be like, thanks, because it's a great retrospect, but yeah. I just like to be me. And I would say that's why I pick energy. I love to be energetic. I love to, pronounce everything. I love to interact with the crowd. I'm going to be running all over the stage, using my hands, using my neck, using just like looking into your soul.
So, yes. And that's the most important, anyone, it's always great to be compared to people you really look up to, but the most important thing at the end of the day is your own distinct brand. You want up-and-comers to be compared to you, and you want people to look up to you like that's your distinct brand. Am I right?
Yes, because it separates you from everybody else, and it makes you more authentic. It makes you like, okay, he started something that everybody jumped on. Like now the new generation, they call it the Migos flow, but it's something that the Migos just started, and people just like, wow, I want to rap 4 bars in a stanza. So it's just kind of like, I just like to put like my all into what I'm giving you, because like, especially if you're paying for it, and even if you're not paying for it, like I want to be able to have performances that you're gonna remember. Like, dang, he put on a fucking great performance. So,
well, speaking of performance, like I actually forgot I hopped on the mic at the performance that I went out to in Hartford. From your perspective, tell us about that.
Yeah. Exactly.
It was crazy because it was off the muscle. It was kind of like, boom, they'd be like, go at the starting line. And he just started flowing. And I noticed that he commanded the crowd, and it was a harsh crowd. It was kind of thugged out crowd. So, with that thugged out crowd, like, yo, Joe didn't give a fuck. And it's crazy because
that's what I like to hear.
He had everybody drawn into him more and more and more, probably by like the 6 or 7 bar. Like everybody in the room was quiet for the simple fact that they was like, okay, he can fucking rap. And that's what I like. It was just off. I like wittiness. That's just when somebody put you to the ultimate test in front of everybody, and he was not scared. And that's what really made me love him as an artist, because he was easily putting shit together and rocking it.
Making us proud, Joe. That's what we like to hear.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it truly
even
the most
even my wife who's here, like, she's here with me tonight, like she said the same thing. Like, it was off the muscle. He was just fucking going, and I was just like, whoa, this is some shit. Like Joey Lawrence and Blossom be like, whoa, so it was cool, man.
Yes. And I mean, that's what makes you stick out. If you could captivate any great talent, can captivate any audience, no matter where the audience is from, no matter what their ages, their backgrounds. It's all about entertaining.
And it's cool because at the end of that freestyle session, you know, I see him, you know, building with more people and making contacts. And, you know, that's the key. I think that's the true key to life, you know, where everybody, like universe of, like you said, different backgrounds, and everybody come for the same love. And that's the biggest thing. You know, it creates great relationships in life. You know?
Absolutely. Always about entertaining, informing, and inspiring your audience. And that's where that connection will forever instill us.
See, and it makes a productive conversation, huh?
Yes. Always speaking my language, Marz.
There
I appreciate you a lot for that.
No, thank you.
And last thing about the music before we switch to some other topics. Just talk to me about your future, guys, and what you can say. You mentioned that you are working on an album. If you feel comfortable to talk about the details, or if you're still working on it, we would love to hear it. But tell me in general what you guys expect, especially as we're transitioning to a pandemic-free world. Now that more people are getting vaccinated and things are changing for the better, what does that mean for you guys and your partnership in your music?
I would say I kind of want to make history. I want to make, you know, great memories, and like, since it's transitioning into more of a COVID-free world, you know, per se, slowly but surely, right, to make people, keep people laughing, keep people smiling, like, you know, tell more stories that's gonna uplift and inspire, and, you know, just kind of just really have fun and be creative with the times, you know, during it. Like, you know, I just released a video. I'm one half of a group as well called Auda-Matrix. Shout out to my man Trismatics from Springfield, Massachusetts. And we shot the video and we had COVID masks on, you know, to let you know, like, you know, it's still out here. You know, we're being kind of, you know, careful on what we're doing. We're trying to, you know, portray that message as well. So, you know, just little creations to kind of go with the times.
Yeah, that's I definitely hear that. Though we're at the end, we're at that third base. It isn't over yet. We still have to continue to follow the rules and make sure no one gets sick. But we're really on track for something good and a good warm weather summer and spring. So let's keep doing our part and give more opportunities for my two guys right here to perform as well, so we can't mess that up as well. But do you have any working any tour dates of some sort? Do you have any performances?
So that's actually a really rough thing right now. Like, as you know, like even with my buddy who is now, he was with Sony Orchard, now is with Sony Sony Records proper. He was saying like still there is, like, even with the most major of labels, they're having trouble, like, even deciding if they do or don't want to book tours or shows and stuff like that. And that's because the music industry is heavily centered around live performances, and that still is a big issue. So but what the main thing we're trying to do is get studio time together, and luckily I have a nice little private studio here. But essentially it's kind of going to be, it's kind of like, if I were going to give you a visual for the sound of this, what we're going to put together, it's kind of like if you've ever seen gasoline in water on the side, that kind of a rainbow. It's one of those things where it's like it's wavy. It's almost like a color you can't really describe. That like it's a type of color you don't see very often, but it's different, but it flows. And that's the thing. I think both of our vision is to have this so that it's hip hop, it's rap, and it's pop, and that's but it doesn't follow the normal rubric, the normal cookie cutter mold of a typical album these days.
So it really is going to be a distinct sound with Joe and Auda Mars. That's what we're getting at here. It's nothing we have seen before or heard before.
Probably not. I mean, Joe's writing his retrospect. I'm gonna explain it on my side. It's gonna be some real amazing shit. Some shit that's gonna give you a lot of fucking energy, and we're gonna bring it to the table, and we're gonna do it creatively. So, world, please be on the lookout for this great EP. And you know what? We're not announcing the name yet. We're keeping things under wraps. And we might call it Productive Conversations.
Oh man. Well, it'd be a bit awkward if that was the case, but you could do Productive Rock.
I think that'll be a dedication to you. What the fuck? Like, shit, has to be like
give you producer credit.
Yeah, where did you get that? Like, where did you get the idea from? We were on Productive Conversations podcast.
I'll definitely any tribute with that. I really appreciate. So you definitely got my support with this. Please just promise me the day it drops, you let me know so we can promote it and get our listeners and viewers to it.
So speaking of we could definitely drop that together. But you recently just dropped an album, right?
Yes, I have.
So I do want to give you an opportunity to plug that, because I know we're running low on time here.
Yeah.
He brought me a physical copy. I love physical copies of things.
Physical copies. This is
all right.
I gotta get you a copy too. I definitely can send you a copy.
Please, I would love it. I haven't had a physical copy since Yeezus. That was the last album in general I had.
Ooh.
And I would love to add that to the list. But yeah, talk to me about.
Where can you find it?
Right now, what we're doing is we're trying to make it available for personal copy until about towards the end of April. And we're going to have it on every social media outlet, just for the simple fact that I want my locals and I want people to support us and inbox me at Jamar Auda Mars Smith on Facebook, or Auda Mars, or Auda-Matrix, AUDA-MATIX on all outlets. If you want to be able to purchase a copy, and we'll send you a copy, for the simple fact that we want people to organically get more in tune before we release everything on social media. And sometimes it fades in the wind, so we kind of want to just have people gravitate it and appreciate it. And I've been having people purchase copies and call me and request for copies to be ordered and send out. So it's a blessing. It starts off slow, but it eventually builds. So
a nice crescendo. Yeah, please, let's set that up.
Absolutely.
I will put it on the wall, on this wall of the studio, a special place for it. But
you got plenty of room.
Oh, trust me, there's a will, there's a way. We can move things. But yeah, as you said, where we could get one more time, where can we get Auda-Mix? We could just reach out to you. Where one more time?
AUDA-MATIX on all social media outlets, from Facebook to IG to Snapchat to TikTok to Twitter, every little social media outlet. But really, the fastest way is to inbox on AUDA-MATIX or Jamar Auda Mars Smith on Facebook. And continue to support. The name of the album is If He Dies, He Dies. His name after the pseudonym of the Rocky IV movie, which the fictional character Ivan Drago, the villain, and is really explaining, as when you have your back against the wall. Rocky had his back against the wall versus Drago. And it was kind of like, Drago's like spare none. If he dies, he dies. So, in that retrospect, it was just like Rocky was like, nah, there's no if he dies, he dies. Like, where I'm not gonna back down. And Drago ended up, if he dies, he dies. So that's we're kind of like the Rocky in the industry, facing the Dragos of the world that's trying to, shut the authentic music out.
I love it. And again, reach out to my man Auda Mars to get that. Again, Auda-Matrix out now. And then once we hear about the big drop with Joe Yankus and Auda Mars, we are definitely going to promote that. So please let me know as soon as that happens.
Absolutely. Productive Conversations. Be ready, just to let you guys know. And we'll most definitely keep you guys in tune as well.
For sure. And by the way, Joe, I have ample time for you guys, for sure. I just want to let you know that. So don't feel we are rushed. Yes. And, I pay Zoom a certain amount to get these things going. So I'm taking advantage of that. I mean, $15 a month to do unlimited Zooms. So yes, no rush there.
I actually didn't realize that it wasn't like Skype where they throttle you. at first. I didn't realize that there was a cutoff, because I remember back in the day you had Skype. It was just like, as long as you had internet and a computer, you could do whatever. But obviously they had to capitalize on the situation.
What can I say? If you want to, you got to invest yourself. Spend money to make money. I can't have time.
Sure.
I can't have time limits on my podcast. When I have multiple people, I can't have that time limit. So it's worth the investment. It's wasted money on a McDonald's meal or something. That's how I get through it. Not there's anything wrong with McDonald's, but I can use that money because I am a big fan. I hate when people talk shit about fast food places because deep down you all like it, but instead of just eating an extra meal that I don't need, just use it for
don't live on it.
Exactly.
Everything's good in moderation.
Especially get it when you're just drunk at 1 a.m.
Oh yeah,
like
McDonald's is always there for you.
Obviously, you're not driving through the drive-through. I hope you either have an Uber driver do it or a designated driver. But I have been there when I'm like, you are stopping at McDonald's, or I am not getting in the car.
This is why you're you, Joe. So let's switch to some other things. Let's have some more fun with this. I have a general question for you two, and they'll see where that can lead us in our conversation. But simply put, what grinds your gears? What frustrates you about this world right now? Whether it's people in general, whether it's a certain business, whether it's a show, whether it's something on their internet. We'll start with Joe in this one, then we'll switch to Marz. What grinds your gears in this world right now?
I love that. This is the bit from
Family Guy.
Family Guy.
Really trademarks, we can use that.
You know what really grinds my gears?
But yeah, Joe, what frustrates you in this world?
Cherries with pits in them. Why? Get it out. Why can't I have a regular cherry that's not a maraschino cherry that doesn't have a pit?
That's really good, actually.
Why does a candied cherry have to be the only one with no pit in it? Give me a cherry that's a regular cherry without a pit. Sorry, that was my absolutely horrible.
Shout out to Gladys Knight in the pits.
Impression of Peter from Family Guy.
That's a really good one, though.
I've actually, to quick derailment here. When I went to Berkeley, voice has changed a little bit since then, but there were multiple times where around the corner, people were like, wait, is Seth MacFarlane here? So if you think about Brian, the character Brian on the show, that's essentially very close to Seth MacFarlane's just regular speaking voice.
Exactly.
And hey, Stewie, I mean, I'm writing my book here. Like I don't know what you want me to do. So if you listen to Seth MacFarlane and then listen to Brian, and I'm like, literally people would mistake me for him just hearing the voice, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take it.
He's from Connecticut, by the way. He's from mid-central Connecticut.
Yeah, and he's a good singer too. He has a whole album of like crooner Sinatra style music. Yeah.
I saw he got nominated for a Grammy for that. That's how nice he is.
Yeah. But what grinds your gears?
Satan shoes. That's what grinds my gears.
Satan shoes, the Little Nas X, that line.
Yeah, that's what grinds my gears.
So tell me, what about this fad that we're talking about? The Little Nas X, the famous video. Apparently, there's blood on the shoes. Tell me why that upsets you.
Because I'm like, it's more fucking serious things that's going on, but they steadily like keep this atrocity in the fucking news because like they try to make it like dissect into 10,000 things. And I'm like, well, now we're going to talk about some real shit. So it's just like you're selling Satan shoes for like $1,000, no, $1,800. You know what the fuck I can do with $1,800?
Yeah, I mean, that's a solid a week, a solid month apartment you could get there. You can.
Imagine you having a child and you'd be like, hey, Dad, you know what? Let's have a productive conversation. Dad, I want the Satan shoes. Like, what
That's what's crazy. There are kids in this world who are going to get that.
For $1,800?
Well, and they sold out in 5 minutes. And what I found out too is I don't think that they were. I don't think they got so they have the Nike swoosh on them, but they weren't approved by Nike. So I also heard that like Nike was like, yeah, we didn't sign off on this, so all that money goes directly to us. And it's just like, wow, great job.
Yep, it was. It was
unbelievable.
It was. So that grinds my gears. Bullshit out here.
You got to give Lil Nas X credit though. He knows how to play the internet.
Yeah,
he really knows how to market himself.
No,
at least get people talking.
All publicity is good publicity or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like, I'm not going to compare them artistically, but it's Kanye shit.
But he's not Rick James.
Make
man.
controversy.
There was only one Rick James. You know, like what the fuck, Rick James, Lil Nas X. That was a whole different fucking animal. Rick James had his fucking shoes on the couch. Lil Nas X, you haven't put in any work yet. I respect what you're trying to do and whatever that you choose, that's cool, but you still haven't put any work yet, you know, and that's another thing that grinds my gears. People always want to consider themselves the GOAT early.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, that's a classic. How the fuck is that a classic album? How is that a classic movie?
Here's another thing. You don't determine if you're the GOAT. People determine if you're a great. You don't tell people you're the great. People tell you you're the great.
And you notice that most of the people who do that really do phase out.
Yeah. And see, you just said it, because like you're gonna be watching something like 20 years later, they're gonna be like, remember Lil Nas X? They'll be like, oh, okay. You know, it's just, I don't know. We that's why I loved, you know, music and movies growing up, especially like the 80s and the 90s was like the golden years, because it's just, they put a lot of passion in their art, and everybody was different. It was like, it was the same, but it was different.
And there wasn't like jumping through hoops either. It was like people just got to make what they wanted to make, release it, and not worry about who was gonna put them on the rails for what after it went out. If you didn't like it, you didn't like it. And there wasn't a bunch of immediate social media platforms where everyone could dissect something literally 1 hour and a half after it comes. Because basically after something comes out, you basically get the amount of time it takes to play the album or watch the movie before everyone is like surgically ripping it apart online. And it's like at the same time with the Lil Nas X thing, like it's like everyone. A lot of people are offended, and rightly so, but it's just like I think we've swung to a place where everyone's too offended at everything, and it's like now it blurs the lines for what is and isn't right to actually get upset about. And that's the problem. When everyone's getting upset about everything, it takes the meat off of the bones of the things that you really should be worried about, things that are real issues. And that's why I think like we have to get to a place where it's like, especially with art, music, cinema, where art is art.
Yeah, it's true. I just felt him and his team made a dumbass art decision. That was just a dumbass decision. It was just like art wise, it's just for the simple fact that, do you hear anybody really talking about how great the song is?
No, I want to tell you that I couldn't tell you like the main mess. I mean, you obviously with the message behind this stuff. It is more just you're just bashing the opportunity these guys have.
Yeah, just for the simple fact that he made one of the biggest songs in the past 20 years with Old Town Road. After, you know, you make a couple singles, that's what you're supposed to do. But like, this is like your Old Town Road part 2. Like, I just feel like if you're trying to be successful still in the Old Town Road retrospect, this is the last fucking thing you should be putting together. That should be telling me, that just tells me, it's almost like telling me like, you don't really have nothing left in the tank.
You know, do you feel like almost like I'm sorry, you were saying, Joe?
Well, I was gonna say too, because I watched the video. I'm like, oh, I get exactly what's going on here. This is shock value, 100%, like something I might do. But I then went and looked at the lyrics, and even for what the song is supposed to be about, it's like a coming out. It's like a love story. The lyrics are fucking trash. I'm sorry. It's not well written. It's like, and some of it doesn't rhyme well. It's like the chorus. There's one line in the chorus, and I've heard it a couple times, but it's just like, that's it hurts. And it's just like if you're gonna do that, have some substance somewhere. And like the problem is, the beat's good, it's well produced, it sounds catchy, but there's no meat on the bone, and then all it is a giant flash in the pan. is what it is.
That's it.
And also just a fad to take advantage. People get more money one way or the other to do what they have to. And yeah, people are just doing what they can to, even at the end of the day, people are just doing what they can to eat.
Yeah, and I'm just, and it takes the greatness out of shit. It's like a 12th place trophy.
Yeah.
It's like, come on, man. Like,
what are you really rewarding artists who are trying to put genuine messages out there and stuff when you have, you know, you have TikTokers getting millions of dollars just doing little dances? And I guess, you know, respect it. I mean,
and I respect the grind. You'll probably catch me doing the TikTok too.
you know?
But it's just sometimes the art of it is just okay. Like you get this opportunity to showcase yourself to the world.
Tell your story.
It's like, yeah, tell your story, but it's just make sure you tell your story right. Like,
yeah,
add some fucking creativity to this shit. Like, who the fuck wants to see a fucking stage in Mortal Kombat? It looks like you got fucking Motaro fucking running around like Motaro wins, fucking love story. Like, come on, man.
But at the same time, I get it. There's always like 30 years ago, it was Madonna that was pissing everybody off.
But Madonna was creative as shit.
Yeah, she has some power.
Then you had Lady Gaga.
Songs.
But I'm talking about like with the outrage against this, and like you're always gonna have like this person that's pushing it. But I will agree that with every like generation musically, there's been been the same sort of like outrage porn that these artists will make, but the substance it gets like it's like a cup, and then you have like a full cup, then a half cup. Now there's just a little bit at the bottom. Now it's like starting to evaporate. Like there's like a drop of water at the bottom.
It's like a cheap ass cup.
Yeah,
it's like the cheap ass cup when liquid falls through, and you're like, oh shit, how did the fuck the liquid caught? It just crawled through. And just
but yeah, eventually you're gonna get like you're gonna get something like this with a TikTok star who's like lip synced, gotten famous from lip syncing songs. They have them ghost produce something and have somebody else. It's not even their voice. And then you get to a point where what you're watching, the art, it's who you're seeing and what you're seeing. Nobody, like that person, you're not seeing anybody involved who's really involved in it. And that's a crazy thing too, like with ghost producers, ghost writers, like what was it, Milli Vanilli or Salt,
Milli Vanilli.
That was an old controversy, but you still have many artists where they are not performing live.
For those who don't know, Milli Vanilli got one artist for brand new it was, I believe, in the early 90s or late 80s, early 90s, around that.
Early 92.
Yeah, okay. Early 90s, won the Grammy for Best New Artist.
Yep, and American Music Awards.
And they were straight up caught lip syncing, and it wasn't them at all, and they returned their Grammys. And yeah, we've seen people for whatever, the various reasons they need, whether it's legal or logistics for performing, where they don't perform live. And even some of the greats, you could see situations like that. But I think it shows more of an appreciation for the artist who actually does go out, performs live, whether they do an instrument, whether they are on stage performing. We have to give more of those opportunities for artists and show that it is worth it, and, give life to their artistry. Can you agree?
On the other hand, there is a difference between a studio band, a studio artist, and someone who just is like a shell of an artist. Because you have a band. I'm not sure if you're familiar. Either of you are familiar with Steely Dan. Yeah. They are like they're. And the thing was, everybody knows this. Everybody says this. They were really a studio band. They couldn't. Their live perform like their live. It didn't measure up. But they've made some of the best, most. And I actually shout out Berklee College of Music because I think. I'm not sure which member. It was Donald Fagen, I believe, went to Berklee. But they combined a whole bunch of music, but at the same time they killed it in the studio, and live they couldn't really do it. But that was their avenue. And I was talking to somebody like they would go through. You'd have 3 saxophonists come in. You would get paid for your session, and they're like I was saying, I'd love to get to these archives, because there are saxophone players, amazing players, who came in who would record an entire part for one of their songs. They picked a different one from a different artist. They still got paid. They still got legally everything, but like that's how they would do it. They literally would curate the best sounds, and because of that, it's hard to replicate that live, because you're literally like there's that's some of the first like layering production type things where like you basically have a band you can't recreate in real life. I appreciate that, because that's real artistry in the studio, and not being able to perform that live, it's because of the artistry that goes into that. Now it becomes completely different when it's just an unsubstantive, empty sort of attempt at performance art, which is where I think you're kind of talking about with this stuff today.
Yeah, you have anything else to add on to that, Marz?
I wouldn't say that's really tough. I would say, I don't know. I like to substantiate things like a little different. I kind of like a wild card to it. I would say about everything, and like how I like approach like the production and the music. I don't know. Like I probably have like 20 different styles that I would like to create and like bring to life, and I feel that it's easier for me to adapt to different traits of type of music, as well. Like what you say? Give me a good example of. Remember that night when you threw on? I think it was the beat with what I told you. It kind of sounded like Drake's.
Yeah.
And I told you to turn up the BPMs, and then we went to the different smooth beat, and then we went to the beat that's You're Awesome, and what was that, Cantonese?
Oh yeah. Dai Haola.
Yeah. So like, that's kind of like three different ways to describe like three different styles to adapt to make the music like kick.
Well, but because that's another thing too. Like it's funny because there's and I'm blanking on the name of this YouTuber, but there's a YouTuber before COVID. There was he was an white American guy, but I think was living in Hong Kong or somewhere in China, and would go all over Asia, and but spoke Mandarin and would eat. It was like it was a food tourism, and would get all the street food, all this stuff. But when he was especially in places in China where they spoke Mandarin, one of the things he would say all the time was "Dai Haola," which means awesome in Mandarin. So, and me and my buddy, we actually have great authentic Szechuan Chinese food in this area in Connecticut. There's actually one down near your area too, in the New Haven area.
Oh, what's it called?
I'm not sure, but if you Google Shu, Han, and Song, those are the three restaurants up here. The same restaurant group I think has one in the New Haven area too. But like this is what I'm talking about like this sort of just out of nowhere. I had an instrumental, and like me and my buddy were always laughing about like how this guy is always like anytime he gets like really good food, oh, Dai Haola. So I literally wrote, and this was right before the pandemic even started too, because we all know the controversy over it coming from China, this and that, but at the same time, like I love, and it was talking about it was called Dai Haola, and it's talking about how awesome the Chinese, like when the Chinese food is too fucking good, there's one thing you got to say, and that's Dai Haola. So and that's like the whole premise of the song, like talking about how good the fucking Chinese food is.
See?
And like that's one of those things where it's just like out of nowhere, now you have a song.
It's authentic, and like what we try to do is not only create like different layers and different like I wouldn't say perfections, because nothing's not really perfect unless you really want to make it your perfect, but to really create just as great in the studio, and to be able to translate that into life, into performance. And I feel that's what makes the great performers in the game. That really, I would say one that was the best at doing that, and it's crazy out of the blue, would be Whitney Houston. It's just like what she created in the studio, she can go out and translate that and kill a stage, so that's what the true essence of music is. Some is microwave pop, some is manufactured together real fast, and it's
I will say
some just put their heart and soul into it.
Just as there's really delicious microwave popcorn, there's really delicious microwave pop. I'm not going to knock that.
All right. Yeah, no, definitely not. Definitely not. That's why music is our ultimate form of expression, because it's universal. Everyone can create music, and we have to just embrace the artistry more than ever now because of the various opportunities people can make music, but we just love it for what it is. Something to just put us in a special mood.
Yeah, I do. I don't knock you. And it starts productive conversations.
Nothing but. So, because the final things we have to do, we've been at it for over an hour and a half. So that's how you know. So I end the productive conversation. Every episode ends with a questionnaire. For people who are on the first time, they do the Proust questionnaire. That's what you're going to do, Auda Mars. And then Joe, you do a second type of questionnaire.
Yeah, because I already know the answer. I've already seen the test. So you
exactly.
Can't say one twice.
So we'll start with Auda Mars for the first questionnaire. It's the Proust questionnaire, which is 10 short but deep questions to help us end our first interaction together and just to show one more time how awesome of a person you are.
Well,
so
thank you.
Auda Mars, are you ready to do the Proust questionnaire?
I know that kind of sucked, but I was trying to do the drum roll.
Hey, the energy's there. Most important.
We got to get you a soundboard is what we got to do, Matt. You got to get a soundboard on this.
Oh, I do have. Yes, I have a mixer right here that I still need to hook up and work together. But I use that for specific.
By the way, we just got a sneak peek inside that studio. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that side of the room before.
Very rarely this time. We did, when the show first started, we did have some in-studio guests, but then that's when the COVID spikes happened and we had to be precautious. But, now things again turning around. Hope to have more people on the other side and show off the studio some more.
Yes.
But anyways, Proust questionnaire, Auda Mars, ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. So my first question for you is, what is your favorite word?
What is my favorite word?
That's right.
Wow. I would say fuck. I mean, like.
Hey, that's all right. Whatever your favorite word is. Execute. All right. First time I've heard that one. That is a great first favorite word. All right. Number 2 is, what's your least favorite word?
Fuck. Tell you the truth, detriment.
Detriment.
Yeah, because I know it comes behind that word. It's usually not positivity.
Absolutely, for that one. I agree wholeheartedly. So the third question, and as I say this to everyone, this is not necessarily a sexual question, though some people have said sex to answer it. And again, they do them. We respect it still. And even if we laugh.
Hold on.
Hey, we're here.
Hold on. Oh, whoa.
We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
We lost you for a second. You're back.
Yeah.
All right. We're back. Better than ever. But third question, again, not necessarily a sexual question, but if that's your answer, totally fine. But what turns you on in this world? More of a life fulfillment one. For the few people who have said sex, that's great. But with this more of, what fulfills you in life? What turns you on? What brings you your most zen and joy?
Truth.
That's a great one. That's a great answer. All right. The truth shall set you free. And it's also what turns Auda Mars on in this world.
Absolutely.
So having said that, what turns you off in this world?
It's actually two.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about it.
Being musty is one, because especially if you're grown, if you're musty, it's no reason why, if you're grown and being musty in the same retrospect. I understand, sometimes we work hard, have a hard day. It's just instantly go take a shower. It's
your body feels 10 times better when you have that.
Absolutely.
And my body feels 10 times better when I don't have to smell your musty
ass. Just kind of like snakes, snakes. Somebody in your face, and you think they're proper, think they're stand up, and you come to find out that they're not stand up. You know, so
I
would
know
say
we
those
all
two.
have many examples of people who are snakes in this world.
Yes.
You know, my favorite line for Sopranos is about snakes.
What's that?
Let me just Google it really quick so I get it right.
Mm-hmm.
While you're Googling that, give him time to prepare. What's the next question?
You know, it's my favorite lines.
What is that?
Can't touch this. No, I'm just playing.
So I have the quote right here.
Yes.
The amazing thing about snakes is that they reproduce spontaneously. They have both male and female sex organs. This is why when you don't trust someone, you call them a snake. How can you trust a guy who could literally go fuck themselves?
That's literal too.
Yeah, exactly. So my favorite part about snakes. So, well, I mean, if there's anything, I do hate snakes in real life. Well, number 5 is, what sound or noise do you love?
Sound of rain.
Yeah.
The sound of rain. Sometimes I'll put it on YouTube and I go to sleep with it, you know, and it's so calm and it makes me think. It makes me think on how my favorite word, execute. I want to execute my move.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. Bars right there.
You know.
Bars.
Oh, man.
What sound or noise do you hate?
I would say, remember a teacher would take her nails and go on a board. That's probably the one, the most. It's just, that sucks.
You'll never forget that sound.
Hold on, what's that?
I said you'll never forget that sound.
Oh, nah.
Can't do that on a smart board.
Nah, that's you see, I'm getting a kind of like the heebie-jeebies right now.
Yeah, just thinking about it, I'm with you. Like
Filled in the traps right now.
Mm-hmm.
But number 7 is, what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Fuck.
I create video highlights, and when I do like the highlight of the past questionnaire, when we do the favorite curse word, it's a lot of fucks.
Yeah, remember how big he was like, fuck you, you're cool. Fuck you.
What movie is that? What movie
that
is
was
that?
awesome.
That wasn't it. That was not Half Baked. Another funny people telling someone to fuck themselves. But what movie is that?
What, Half Baked?
Show? Was it Half Baked who says fuck you? Nah, you're cool. Fuck you. It was that.
Yep. Guillermo Diaz. Yep. Shout out Guillermo Diaz, man.
Classic.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8. What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Oh, I would like to, surprisingly, a TV host.
Yeah.
TV host.
It's never too late.
Yeah, like, I really like, Michael Strahan and what he does. How he gets on. He's a real smooth cat. Shout out.
Absolutely. Favorite football player growing up. Number 9. What profession would you not like to do?
Truthfully, porn.
Solid answer.
Yeah, it's just because at the end of the day, like, especially when I become a parent and I look back, and probably like my children like, this what the fuck you did? Like, there's nothing to be proud. Yeah, it's nothing to be fucking proud of. Like, yeah, super cool, loud, and fucking porn, like. So yeah,
I really want to interview a porn star not to talk about the content they make. They get in detail. I want to talk about, like, what you're doing is, with all due respect, taboo to certain generations. And having said that, what passion makes you decide to create that content despite the taboo nature outside surrounded? Not that it's wrong or anything, but what makes you decide to do that? To get in your most vulnerable state, and most fun. Why do you choose to put the cameras or be part of the cameras there, and help us in the audience understand your perspective? Yeah.
Which I think is dope. Like me, I don't knock anything. It's just sometimes you gotta look at the aftermath of things. Like, things do end.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the point of the show is, to help us understand things more. And when that day comes, we've had OnlyFans people on OnlyFans, but to talk about that, I think would be really interesting. And the final question for your questionnaire, and for you, Auda Mars, I'm really excited for your answer on this. But if heaven exists, what would you like God to say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Where have you been? Where have you been, dude? Like, and I'm like, hey, man, I was taking as long as I could to get here, dude. You know, and I would really say, you know, a serious question. I think I would really say, you know, what made you choose some of the things that you choose where you could have followed the wrong path? And I think that's the biggest thing I think he would say to me.
Very solid answer. I respect a lot. And thank you for sharing that, Marz.
Thank you.
So I will finish off with Joe's questionnaire. So Joe, I'm going to give you a choice. There's two questionnaires. We could do the conversational world questionnaire again, from conversationalworld.com. That helps us, you know, just have conversation starters, have funny questions. It's good, you know. Or we could do the really out there questionnaire. It's called the Eric Andre questionnaire. Now, these are Eric Andre questions.
I mean, already,
do
I have to answer that? Like you said, Eric Andre, like that's it. We're
all right
there. We're there.
All right.
There we are.
Great then. So, the Eric Andre questionnaire. So you guys are familiar with the Eric Andre show?
Of course.
Yes.
Big fan. As someone who watches stuff on his free time.
Him and Hannibal.
Yeah.
Him and Hannibal.
The squad.
Shout out to Hannibal squad.
The thing about them, right? So crazy talk show, but it's just a show. I have fun and see how grotesque it, push the limit you can without being a dick about it. That's what's great about the Eric Andre show. And it helps me, you know, for someone who watches so much stuff and analyze it, it's nice to just turn my brain off and just laugh. I think Eric Andre is great at that. So his question has the most random, obscene, crazy, grotesque questions. And again, these are not my questions. These are his. And we're just seeing their reaction. As I say this to Joe and you both reacted, feel free, Marz, if you want to answer them as well. So this is the Eric Andre questionnaire that Joe has agreed to. And are you ready for it, man? Again, these are not my questions. These are his, but they are a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, man. Are they your questions?
Well, I mean, I watched every single episode and wrote it down, but these are his when they come up.
You sure they're not your questions?
I promise in this case. It's All right. If that's the case.
Hit it.
All right. And again, there's also some questions that I did throw in because there are some questions that are straight up will get me canceled. But I switched them around to make it fair. So it's like, yes, most of them are Eric Andre questionnaires with a few questions of mine that relate to this randomness. All right.
So the truth comes out.
Okay. So technically, yes, they are some of the questions. So it's a nice mix. But, I'm just reading some of the questions that are just outright picket signs for it. But all right. If that's the case, we'll start with your first Eric Andre questionnaire. And that is, Joe, when you go for a whiz, do you ever get a sense of Khalifa?
Yeah. There can be times in the morning with the first one where it is sensitive. And also, have you ever like you're in the car, you have to fucking hold it forever. And then finally when you get to go, it's like it's tearing your dick hole open as it's coming out. It's like
just that but genuine breath of fresh air.
Yeah, it's just those are the times when I get a sensitive Khalifa when I
it's like when going to school and knowing that I didn't want to take a shit in a public bathroom. I wait to get home. I was waiting to take that shit all day. And then you finally just take that shit. Yes.
What great things we have in our world for that. Number 2, Joe. Would you titty fuck Martha Stewart?
Fuck yeah.
Is she gonna make you gift baskets after?
But only if I had a time machine and could do it when she was 27.
Why? No Milfy?
I mean, I'd do it now, but I'd also like to do it then too.
Oh, Mamma Mia. I love it. I love it.
I just remember, I forget who the comedian was, but they were talking about like some crazy billionaire like had a shower curtain that was $10,000, and they were like, "What the fuck was that made out of? Martha Stewart's vagina?"
Alpaca hair.
Number 3, Joe. What's your cell phone number?
My cell phone number? My cell phone number. We're gonna do that. It's
like I said, answer the way you want to.
It's 860-751-4219.
Whoa.
That was my first.
That still counts. We get a lot of calls and
so,
they find.
Sorry to whoever has that one. Now.
Somebody's dialing already.
So they did Eric. He asked Seth Rogen that apparently it was his real number that he genuinely changed, assuming he told the truth in interviews. That he had no choice, that he just was fucked. Number 4. Have you heard a guitar?
I'm not sure.
I
I don't know. I don't know if we are living in a simulation, so I don't know
the different universe.
I don't know if every time I wake up it's a different universe. If a guitar, what is it like? Maybe.
Number 5. Number 5, Joe. You familiar with bukkake?
Yeah, that's like it's kind of sushi, right?
Goodness.
Or is that a sauce?
I think there's a certain type of sauce that is no questions asked where it came from.
Oh,
ask Ben Stella.
All right, what's next? Let's keep it rolling. I'm loving it.
All right. All right. This is number 5.
No, number 6.
Oh, excuse me. Yeah, number 6. You're right.
Number 6, actually.
Number 6. How old is the oldest person you fucked?
55.
And you were
28.
Oh my goodness. So 55 minus 28 is 27 years apart.
Yeah, 28. Yeah, 55.
Ooh.
My goodness. How was it, Joe?
It's fine. It's good.
Did you ever see her again? If you don't mind me asking, how did this all unfold?
I don't know what I should and shouldn't say about this. Like, we are not on bad terms, but it happened right before lockdowns really got heavy. So no, I have not seen her again.
Did you guys play the Kanye West song Love Lockdown?
I don't think so.
I love that beat. All right. Well, Joe, sounds fantastic, and I hope it was. Number 7.
It wasn't not.
That's right. Number 7. Oh man. A rare voice crack right there. Okay.
Love it.
Tell me, I'm picking from this. How come a wolf is the only thing that can be aware?
I'm a werewolf.
I mean, you could be aware of your surroundings.
A werewolf is the only wolf that can be aware. I actually say that a lot. Like, that's one of my favorite, like, play on words. Like, if someone tells me something I already know, I'm like, I'm a werewolf.
I seen a werewolf one morning going to work.
Really?
Yeah, it was true. It was true.
Tell us how that unfolded.
It was probably about like 6:05 in the morning, and I was heading to the job I was employed for at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was in Bloomfield, Connecticut. And then next thing you know, as I was riding, it was preferably dark too. So riding, and next thing you know, it was like, poof, the wolf. It was like Saber Wolf from Killer Instinct. damn it. It was crazy. And I told my wife,
Blimey.
I said, what was that? She was just like, I think that was a wolf. That was a bloody wolf. Yes.
Of the were variety.
Yes. Aware. I was aware that I seen a wolf. Yes. But yes, I seen a wolf one morning.
All right.
Yeah.
Was it
what a life?
Was it aware that it was a wolf?
Yes, it was aware because it ran so valiantly just across the way.
On 2 legs or 4?
Okay, it's crazy because it was just like you think it's fucking 2 at first, but it was going so fast, like you didn't know. It was like a dare, bruh, as Kevin Hart would say.
Okay.
It was just like really fast, but it was like here and it turned around. I was like, wow, that's a wolf. So yes. That's the wolf story.
Oh, what an adventure!
How many more we got left here?
We got 3 more.
Oh,
make it.
That's plenty. That's more than I bargained for. But let's keep going.
Oh,
Number 3.
I want it to be more than I bargained for when it's Eric Andre.
So we're like, what, 7?
Number 3. Are you single and ready to mingle? Or I should say number 8.
Yes.
I think I'm single and ready to prangle.
Like Pringles? Like Pringles? Like
Prangles, but from the Southwest. I'm single and ready to prangle.
Look at that. Number 9. What's the farthest you've ever gone with a girl?
I think the farthest I've ever gone with a girl, it was technically my mom, and it was England. We went to England.
Exactly. Good answer. Good answer.
Had him on the fucking rails, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a fucking
riding the wire
in London.
That's family.
Yeah, we went all the way. Although I think actually technically. We also at one point when I was a kid went to Hawaii. I don't know what's farther away.
I think technically London.
Like how I wrangled that question there.
Yes, that was very
double
entendres.
Our final question for today, and the final question, the Eric Andre questionnaire. What's the craziest thing you ever done?
Fucking got born. I just decided to exist one day, and then I was like, "Fuck you, I'm here."
Oh man, we're thankful for that.
World ain't been the same since.
Wow.
But after that, probably one of the craziest things that I've ever done was join Theta Chi. That was like just the longest like good bad decision. It was like a freaking like
not
epic series, like epic really like HBO series.
2 seasons of it too.
I always thought a good college show, definitely don't take my idea, trademark it, is a series called Good Times, Bad Times about college. And if you could get the rights to Led Zeppelin's Good Times, Bad Times, where the very first lyric is in the days of my youth, I was taught what it means to be a man. I think that would be an awesome way to start a show like that. Coming of age like that.
That's dope.
Yeah, I think actually one of the craziest things I decided to do was join a fraternity. Like that thing, like and
why is that?
Well, because you don't actually know, like there's like it's to be honest, like at least the pledge process itself, it's all hyped up. It's not what it seems. But the thing is, you don't know that going in.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't.
Once you get on the other side, it is like the prophecy. Like, wow, this was something else, man. And every school is different, but it's quite a time. And even though it's a headache, it is worth it.
Is it like that crack cocaine commercial when they be like, "This is your brain on drugs," and then you still go try drugs anyway?
Yes.
It's like it's like a surface level, like it's like you have a Easter egg and like oh, it's pink on the inside, and then you crack it open and it's like, why does this smell gross? It was pink before. It's just gooey and weird. Why is it cold?
It's not a cat.
Who enjoys these?
What a game, guys! What a game. Auda Mars, Joe Yankus. Tell us one more time where we can find your stuff.
Well, you can find Auda Mars at Jamar Auda Mars Smith on Facebook or Auda-Matrix, AudaMatrix on every social media outlet, including LinkedIn on Friday.
Boom.
Boom.
So by the time this is released, I think Friday will have passed.
Yes, so LinkedIn included.
But and Joe, where can we find your stuff?
Yeah, so just literally Google Yo Yankus, YO space JANKUS. That's I'm Yo Yankus on all social media as well. You know, my Twitter's kind of boring. Instagram's fairly entertaining. SoundCloud has some stuff. It hasn't been updated in a while, and I keep all the old stuff on there too. And some of it's like, wow, you did that. I did that, and I'm leaving it there. So scroll down a little bit if you want to hear some. Hey,
look at that.
But I mean, that it's like I said last time. It's like you start from somewhere. No overnight success, just an overnight sensation.
Absolutely.
Bars right there, guys. It's been a pleasure. I enjoyed every second of it. I hope this is one of many, and I just can't wait to see what you guys pull off. You have my support. I'm sure you have the audience's support. And we love and appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for an incredible appearance. Is there any final words you have to say?
Oh, we would like to thank the world and you for having a productive conversation and look forward, absolutely to, building with you again. And thank you, for having us tonight. Thank you for having me as a first-time guest.
Yes, thank you, Matt Brown. Without Matt Brown, there would be no productive
Big Matt Brown!
Guys, we've hit close to 2 hours. That's how you know, man. And I will not take this connection for granted. Thank you so much. God bless. And I'll see you all really, really soon. That's Auda Mars and Joe Yankus. Yeah! Thanks again, my great friends. Hey. Till next time. Have a good night.
Peace.